So in today's video, we're going to talk about why men who wait for motivation stay weak and why you should stop waiting for motivation if you want to get to the next level this year. So motivation is an emotion. Masculine strength is built on systems and identity, not feelings. What does this mean? This means that you shouldn't do things when you feel like doing it. You should do it just because that's the way to do things. Like today, I didn't feel like recording this video, but I realized like to get to my goals and to deliver the message that I want to deliver to you, it was beneficial for me to do the work anyway. Sometimes I don't feel like going to the gym, but guess what? I have to do that anyway. So that's why men who wait for motivation stay weak because they're controlled by their feelings. And feelings are a fleeting thing. They come and they go like weather. And so if you don't feel good today, you're telling me you're not going to do the work? Come on. And you expect to be successful? You expect the fucking results? Let's be honest. It's not going to happen. So in bulletin one, we're going to talk about how motivation is a reward signal and how not starting is a signal as well. So let's get into our first point, which is motivation is a reward signal, not a starting signal. So a psychological fact backed by research is motivation follows action more often than it precedes it. Dopamine spikes after progress, not before it. Now, what this means is that men are waiting to feel ready, are biologically waiting for a signal that only comes after they act. So every man knows the feeling of saying, I'll go hard tomorrow. Tomorrow comes, nothing changes. And somehow you feel weaker than before. Not because you failed, but because you hesitated again. So what does this mean? This means that action creates motivation. Waiting for motivation trains passivity. So in life, it's been plenty of times where I was just thinking so much of creative ideas, of thinking of the work I wanted to do instead of actually putting in the work. But when I did something I did not want to do, at the end of doing what I didn't want to do, I felt great. I felt motivated. For instance, I didn't want to go to the gym. I go to the gym and I work out. Now I feel high energy. Now I feel like I've accomplished something. Now I feel motivated. But a lot of times in the world, we think that, motivation starts when we think about it. Oh, I'm motivated. And when I feel like doing it, I'm going to get up and do it. That's not how life goes. And that's the problem for a lot of us. A lot of us are waiting for the right time. There is no right time. The time is now. There is no motivation. You should always be motivated, even when you don't feel like it. Fuck your feelings. Go get it and let's be great. Number two. The number 2 point is waiting signals low status to yourself, not to the world, but to yourself. When you wait, it signals that you're low value to your mind. Your brain perceives you as just a fucking pawn in the chessboard. And it's a psychological fact that across culture, high status males are defined by reliability under pressure, not emotional readiness. And this comes from Buss's cross-cultural mate preference studies. And what this means is when a man only acts when he feels good, his brain learns I can't be trusted under discomfort. A lot of us are waiting, and when we don't feel good, we don't do nothing. And our inner self is just saying, oh, I see you. I see you again, not doing nothing. And guess what? I can't trust you. So when things get discomfort or when things get uncomfortable in life, I'm not going to trust you to do the thing to overcome it. And so that's why we do things like self-sabotage. I know a story for me is like, have you ever started noticing you don't respect yourself the way you used to? Not because you're lazy, but because you keep breaking promises to yourself. How many times did you say you was going to start this business and you didn't? How many times you said you was going to leave that person and you didn't? How many times you said you're going to cut off that friend and you didn't? And then you don't feel as strong as you once felt. You don't feel as strong as you should feel. It's because you don't keep the promises to yourself. And it signals low status to yourself. Now, the takeaway from this is the self-respect comes from consistency under discomfort, not intensity during when you feel like it or when you're motivated, right? So that's number 2, waiting signals low status to yourself. Number 3, motivation addiction creates weak identity. It's a psychological fact that men who tie action to emotion develop external dependent identities, fragile under stress. And the source of this comes from an identity based on motivation theory, right? Or the evolutionary models of male provisioning behavior. A relatable story is like, when I crush it for 3 days and I miss one day, then next thing you know, I disappear for 2 weeks. And each restart feels heavier than the last, right? So how many of you been through that? You started something and you was consistent for a few days. Maybe it was your New Year's resolution, like what's going on right now for a lot of people. And after 2 or 3 days, you stop. And then you don't go back until 2 weeks. And when you go back in 2 weeks, you feel like a failure. So now it's way harder than it was at the beginning. And all of this comes from the motivation addiction, right? And it makes a weak identity because you have to start and start over. And every time you start over, it actually gets a little bit harder. But if you was just consistently pushing through, right, your identity will start to mold into the person you become. So if you want to be a content creator, let's say you want to be a content creator, every day you put in and you sow that seed, the identity molds into that person. But the day you stop, right, it's going to be harder when you come back. And that's happened to me over years and years and years of trying to produce the outcome of my goal of being a content creator. So I understand that perfectly. But everything changes in identity once you become consistent, right? So a takeaway of this is strong men act because it's who they are, not how they feel. And in the world today, we need more men, more bad boys to not act on their feelings, but to act because that's the purpose, because that's the mission. And if you enjoy this video, I want you to like, comment, and subscribe.